Christian first, anything second. We started by asking the question, how can Christians avoid becoming hypocrites? If you're a Christian, people on the left and the right want you to join their tribe, but doing so will lead you to needing to buy into ideas and practices that you don't believe in, which will make you a hypocrite. But choosing neither side and just trying to stay neutral and uninvolved in the middle will also make you a hypocrite, because doing nothing ends up being a statement in and of itself. But then last week we saw how Jesus didn't wholeheartedly join forces with the progressives or the conservatives of his day. He didn't just remain neutral either. He wasn't part of a political party, but he also wasn't apolitical either. He progressed beyond some traditions while fighting to conserve others. So the question every Christian needs to ask themselves in 2020 is this: how do we do that? How do we do today what Jesus did then? The first step is understanding that within the beliefs of Christianity, God has always been about creating something different and separate that would be a blessing for the rest of the world. Literally thousands of years ago, God spoke to a man named Abraham and said, "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. All the families on earth will be blessed through you." Fast forward many centuries later, and the descendants of this man Abraham had formed an entire people group. God gave them a set of commandments and laws specifically to distinguish them from the surrounding nations. In the Old Testament book Deuteronomy, we read, "When surrounding nations hear all these decrees, they will exclaim, 'How wise and prudent are the people of this great nation! For what great nation has a God as near to them as the Lord our God is near to us whenever we call on him? And what great nation has decrees and regulations as righteous and fair as this body of instructions that I am giving you today?" God gave them these laws to show you how to be different from the people around them, and this was ultimately so they could be a blessing to those same people, precisely because of their differences. Another way of thinking about this is to consider that God wanted his people to be holy. The word holy, when used in the Bible, actually means to be set apart. God took his people and set them apart from the surrounding world, and it's worth repeating, this was for the sake of those other people. Set apart does not mean separated. Some Christians in the past have literally gone off the grid and formed completely separate communities. This is not what God calls Christians to do. The classic Christian phrase that is loosely based on verse 14 and 15 in John chapter 17 is that Christians are to be in the world but not of the world. And while that maybe sounds ambiguous, the Bible has given us examples of what this can look like. You can read stories about the ways Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego all remained in the world without compromising their fundamental beliefs. And of course, our primary example is Jesus. Jesus didn't say, "I've come to build the Republican Party," or "I've come to make the progressive vision of the world a reality." He didn't come to build any earthly kingdom or program for that matter. In fact, he actually said, "My kingdom is not of this world." Jesus came to usher in what he called the kingdom of heaven. He spoke more about the kingdom of heaven than almost any other topic. He compared it to a mustard seed, which starts small but grows to an incredibly strong and massive tree. And Jesus wants Christians to be a part of this growing, upside-down kingdom, spreading not by flexing power, but spreading almost secretly roots growing under the ground. Jesus wants Christians to be in the world, but not of the world, living set apart, but being a blessing to everyone around them through their differences. In one example, Jesus says, "Be set apart, and don't just love the people who love you, but go further and even love your enemies." Loving your enemy might mean loving the racist person in your family, or the conspiracy theorist, or someone in Antifa or the alt-right. This type of love would set Christians apart from the tribalism that divides our culture. St. Paul the Apostle said, "Above all, you must live as citizens of heaven, conducting yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Christ." In 2020, Christians need to realize that they are the citizens of heaven first, and Americans, Democrats, Republicans second. While there may be some overlap, a truly Christian ethic will not be the same agenda as the Republican agenda, or the Democratic agenda, or the Libertarian agenda, or the Socialist agenda. And so Christians need to avoid wholly joining or aligning with any particular tribe, but rather than staying uninvolved, they also need to do the hard but life-giving work of living like Jesus.